What's up, everybody? This is Clark HELLSCREAM doing something a little bit different. This is me technically live on Twitch right now, but this is going to be a future YouTube video that you guys will be grazing your eyes on pretty soon. But in any case, there's one particular card that I want to highlight in this particular video, because it is the card that I believe is going to be the most broken out of all of the cards, and the only reason why I didn't rate this card as high on my tier list of the most powerful cards, I just had a video that I posted about it, is because I feel like there is ways that this card is going to be kept in check. But if it's not kept in check in the way that people assume with hyper aggro being popular, then this card is going to break the game. And I'm talking, of course, about Survival of the Fittest. This card, I believe, is just too powerful. It is way too powerful by itself. Like, when I first saw this card, I literally didn't believe it. We actually had one card that came out, I forget exactly what it was. It was some warrior rare or warrior epic that we thought was going to have a completely different ability, and then it just turned out that that wasn't even the case. I thought that was happening with this card. I thought that this was fake, because look at how powerful this is. In Druid, 10 mana, give +4/+4 to all minions in your hand, deck, and battlefield. So not only is it like a card that like is supposed to go, just supposed to go in like a ramp deck to where you put it with big minions and suddenly you make them bigger. There are so many ways of utilizing this buff that is absolutely game breaking. Obviously, like we've seen in recent days, there has been the Kael'thas stuff, you know? The Kael'thas combos are utterly broken. Utterly broken. I'll say it one more time. They are utterly broken. Druid has the best access to 0 mana cards and to cheap spells in order to discount things, to where suddenly like playing Kael'thas on like turn 6 with like Lightning Bloom into Survival of the Fittest is just gonna be a common occurrence. You can even do that with Innervates. But like the biggest thing that I really want to bring out with this card is that the buff to the battlefield is probably where this card draws the line. If you literally have a board, doesn't even matter like really how big that is. Like, if you have a board and then suddenly you play this card, that is just going to tilt your opponent over the edge to where they're not going to be, like, they're not playing Hearthstone anymore. They're playing against some kind of boss mode that has this ridiculous card, and this looks like a boss card. Like, it's just so insane. I really feel like this card is a mistake. And it's only going to, and like, the biggest reason why I feel like it's a mistake is because I am not a fan of this personal design philosophy where it is fun for me to play this card while my opponent has absolutely no enjoyment whatsoever. I feel like there are better ways of being able to print cards that makes this a little bit more, like, not necessarily makes this specific, like, board buff fun, but a way to print a 10 mana card that isn't just Ultimate Infestation 2.0 that's going to be really good for Druid and is just going to be a 2 of in almost every single competitive Druid deck. And, like, it's just one of those things to where it's just not fun to play against. And if this was in almost any other class that couldn't cheat mana, maybe I could understand justifying this card, but Druid has ramp out the wazoo. They have so much ramp, it's not even funny. There's so much immediate impact that you can do with this board. You could do it with the Nubasath defenders. You could do it with lower minions if you really wanted to try and build some kind of deck that uses token minions or something like that, and use it as an AoE, or not an AoE, but as a board buff. Kael'thas combos are just, God, there's just so many ways that this card is going to break the game if it is not kept in check. So we better hope that aggro does everything that it can in order to keep this card to the wayside, because I really don't want this to be what Hearthstone is going to be centered around, or at least what Druid is going to be centered around for this next upcoming expansion. Almost all of the cards that we've seen have been very flavorful, have been very, not necessarily extreme, but have been different, and have been the design team really pushing the button on the game of what we're expecting from cards in the future. And this is just one of those cards that I find that I don't know who came up with it, but it's just not Hearthstone for me. Like, I don't really like I don't like high rolling my opponent and just being like, well, there's nothing that they can do about this. Like, every now and again is fine with like Edwin combos, but when this is literally like the gameplay of your deck and like the whole strategy, you're building your deck around this card. There's no other way to play this card. It's Ultimate Infestation 2.0 because you had to build your deck around it, and like Druid just has so much to buff and support this that it's just so problematic. And I believe the problem with Druid is that it's not a specific card. Like, kind of like what you just said, Eachman. Like, this is just not a Druid card. I really don't think this should be a Druid card. Like, maybe, keyword maybe, this could be, like, I don't even want to say, like, Warlock, but, like, what if it was, like, a Zoo card? It would still be a little bit broken, because it's just so easy to, like, to build your deck around it, but at least Warlock as a class does not have the ramp. So I think you could justify that a little bit more. Maybe, like, it's not 100% correct, but, like, it's one of those things that I really just don't like in Hearthstone. So hopefully this card will not break the meta, like I'm thinking that it will. Hopefully aggro will keep it in check. Maybe there's some kind of other combo deck or some other, like, mid-range deck that's just going to be able to kill Druid before they're able to get value out of this, but I just don't see it. The biggest problem in my eyes with this card is that it's just too much immediate value when you have literally anything on the board. And there's gonna be combos. We've already seen it. Before the expansion drops, we've already seen this card perform, and it's whether or not other decks are gonna be able to keep up. So hopefully it's not gonna end up the way that I think it is. But that is my opinion on Survival of the Fittest. Feel free to let me know your guys' opinions about the card. Do you think I'm overhyping it? Do you think I'm like underhyping it? Maybe it literally will just be on top of the meta for the rest of Hearthstone. Who knows? Feel free to let me know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.